Afternoon, everybody. How's it going this fine Wednesday? Let's talk a little bit more about our division rivals because yesterday we spent a little bit of time talking about the apparent rift between Kyler Murray and the Arizona Cardinals and what that could potentially do to that franchise in the near future. So let's talk about some stuff regarding the Rams, the other main obstacle and the main obstacle for the Seahawks in the division, if we're being honest, right? I mean, they're defending Super Bowl champions. So who else is it going to be? Of course, it's going to be the Rams. So there have been some interesting things said over the past 4-5 days about the Rams and what you might see from them this offseason and specifically what they might lose. And I've said before that the Rams are not in a great position to be able to add anything to their team, and they're going to lose some stuff. They don't have a lot of cap space. Matthew Stafford may want a new contract at this point. In fact, I think there's a very good chance that he will want a new contract, and that's going to obviously come with some cap ramifications for the Rams. They've got outgoing free agents like Odell Beckham and Von Miller, two guys who really kind of sparked their late season surge that took them all the way to the Super Bowl, and they don't really have draft picks. Now, I have, however, despite saying all that, I have said many times, don't think this team is going away. Don't think they're going away just because they don't have a great amount of resources to blow this offseason. They're still going to have Matthew Stafford. Just because they're going to need to give him a new contract doesn't mean they won't. They're still going to have him. You know they're still going to have Cooper Kupp. You know they're still going to have a lot of those pieces on defense that made them good, like Jalen Ramsey's not going anywhere, Leonard Floyd's not going anywhere, Aaron Donald's not going anywhere. Oh, wait a minute. We have a little bit of new information on that. But my general point was, okay, they might lose Von Miller, but they're still going to be good on that defensive line with Leonard Floyd and Aaron Donald. They might lose Robert Woods, but they're still going to be good at receiver if Tutu Atwell is anything, because they're still going to have Cooper Kupp. And that system is good at generating wide open opportunities for whichever wide receiver plays. Remember, they still have Van Jefferson. And I think they still have high hopes for him. And again, in that offensive system, it's not the end of the world to lose a receiver. They're going to lose Andrew Whitworth, but that's replaceable. He's a 40-year-old left tackle. That offensive system doesn't require amazing offensive linemen, but what could they not survive? So, in the hours leading up to the Super Bowl a few days ago, we got a report from Rodney Harrison that Aaron Donald would consider retirement if the Rams won. Now, we know the Rams have won that game, Aaron Donald being one of the main reasons why. He had a couple sacks and made a couple other plays in that game. Very, very dominant. Easily could have been Super Bowl MVP. I think a lot of people said that he should have been Super Bowl MVP, and they have a leg to stand on, certainly. But this took a lot of people by surprise. Aaron Donald is probably not at his peak anymore. At his peak, he was the best defensive player in the league, clearly. This most recent season, he wasn't. There were at least 3 players in the NFL on defense who were more impactful than Donald. There was Micah Parsons, there was T.J. Watt, and Myles Garrett. So by that virtue, he has fallen off a little bit, but he still made first-team All-Pro. He's still a dominant player. He's still one of the best players in the league. And he could continue to play at a very high level for, I'd say, at least 5 more years if he wanted to. Maybe by the end of that 5-year period, he would start to tail off into just a quality starter. Maybe the cliff would come and he would fall off a cliff and just be completely a complete jag. But clearly, this guy still has something left to give, even though he is in the second half of his career, let's call it. But the fact that he said this means that it's obviously something that is at least a little bit in his mind, right? Like, I don't think he would just say this just to make it up. And I don't know what his angle is. I don't know if he's trying to get a new contract, because if you take a look at his current contract, he's still going to be making 50 over $50 million over the next 3 years. Pretty massive amount of money here. He could get more, but the Rams are not in a great position to give him a new contract that would be giving him a whole lot more money. Maybe he feels like the cliff is coming a little faster than somebody like me would assume that it is. But I guess here's the thing. We don't know how these players are wired, right? We don't know what they prioritize. We can guess, we can assume. But at the end of the day, we don't know what players are really thinking about. Maybe 99% of players care about their football career more than anything else while they're playing football. But maybe there's that 1% that is thinking like, you know what? I don't care that much about my NFL career compared to something like my family. And for Aaron Donald, who has made almost $100 million playing in his career, maybe he does. Now, maybe the Cali taxes have been hitting him hard. Maybe this $100 million is a lot less. But we also know he makes his endorsement money. We know that he has been one of the most notorious NFL players over the last nearly decade now. And with that has come some things that have bolstered his ability to earn money. He is a guy who may very well be able to continue to earn money related to the NFL even after he retires. And as some people have said, he's done everything now. He's a 3-time DPOY. He's made the All-Pro team over and over and over again. I don't know exactly how many times he made it, but it's happened over and over and over again. And the longer you stay in the NFL, the more likely it is that you suffer some debilitating injury that takes you out and makes the second half of your life harder. So I'm not really seeing Aaron Donald retiring, but the fact that he mentioned it makes you hope, kind of, if you're a Seahawks fan, that maybe the end for Aaron Donald is coming sooner than we expected, because, I mean, that's a guy that is hard to get around as a team in the same division as the Rams. And when the Rams lose him, there's no replacing him. There aren't any other Aaron Donalds out there. There may have not been another Aaron Donald in the history of the NFL. If there are other Aaron Donalds out there, they come around once every generation, basically. It's like trying to find another Rob Gronkowski. You can't just say, okay, we lost this Gronk, let's go get another Gronk. No, there are no other Gronks. There are no other Aaron Donalds. Now, the Rams can't really afford to lose an Aaron Donald. Like I said at the start of this video, they can afford to lose an Odell Beckham. They can afford to lose a Robert Woods. They can afford to lose Andrew Whitworth. They can afford to lose some of these guys. They can't afford to lose Donald, but you know who they really can't lose, really can't withstand losing, is Sean McVay. And maybe the most interesting thing that has come out of the rumor mill over the last few days since the Super Bowl would be the possibility that McVay's not long for his head coaching job in the NFL. Before the Super Bowl, there was a rumor floated out that indicated that McVay would consider retirement if the Rams, I think he actually said regardless of the outcome of the Super Bowl. He was asked about it a couple days yesterday, and when asked on if he'll coach the Rams in 2022, he just said, we'll see, which sounds very non-committal to me. So there are some guys the Rams can't afford to lose, like Aaron Donald being one of them, but McVay is at the very top of that tree. If you want to see the Rams actually become an irrelevant team like some of you guys think they're going to be in the future because they're losing guys like Von Miller, this is what it takes. So, Sean McVay, he's been the head coach of the Rams since 2017. They've had a winning record every year he's been there. He's coached in 2 Super Bowls. He won 1. A lot of success. And as for his money, I'm not exactly sure what the contract is for McVay as of right now. And by the way, his current... The way he's talking about things right now may very well be his attempt to get the biggest contract possible from Los Angeles because he's up for an extension this offseason possibly. But it seems like over the last 3 years, he's been making $8.5 million a year. And we also know that McVay is a guy who very likely will end up in announcing after he retires because that's a much easier job, allows him to spend time with his family, which seems to be what he prioritizes. And if these numbers are correct, because the $8.5 million per season number is a estimate based off of reports, he's probably made around $30 million during his time as a coach in the NFL, so he's not doing too badly. Now, I kind of feel like this is probably a ploy to get the John Gruden contract from LA, the $100 million coaching contract, which he certainly deserves. But I think the same thing applies here, right? Maybe almost every coach in the NFL decides to prioritize their job in the NFL over anything else while they're in the NFL. And then they think about their family after they're done. But maybe guys like Sean McVay, maybe for some reason he's wired differently. Maybe the last several years have just taken a toll on him, where he's just exhausted and he just feels like it's not worth it. No amount of money is worth this. No amount of winning is worth this. John Madden only coached in the NFL for 10 years, and then he decided announcing was more his thing. It does happen. So I'm not completely ruling this out. And to those of you out there who think the Rams are going to go away just because they're going to lose some guys like Odell and Von Miller, this is the Rams going away. Losing Sean McVay, that's bigger than any player they could lose. That's bigger than Aaron Donald. Aaron Donald's great, but a guy like Sean McVay is going to keep that team relevant pretty much no matter what, because he's that good as an offensive mind. He's a guy who almost won a Super Bowl with Jared Goff and now has won a Super Bowl with a quarterback who had not won a playoff game in 12 years. So this would be something that could make this division a lot softer. And I know we're rooting for it because of that. But here's the final thing I'm going to say about these two guys, because both these guys are not old. Sean McVay's very young for a head coach. In fact, he's one of the youngest. Aaron Donald is 30, so he's not old yet. And he's still dominant, so there's no reason to believe he'll stop being dominant in a couple years. Honestly, I don't see him not being dominant until the end of his current contract, more or less. There is a sentiment that I see from a lot of players who were on championship winning teams. It's one thing to win a title. Every year, every team has a chance to win a title, and one team is guaranteed to win the title no matter what. Somebody's winning the Super Bowl, somebody's winning the World Series, somebody's winning the NBA championship. Somebody has to win it, right? Theoretically, and I'm not saying this has ever happened, but every team in the league could suck for 1 year. Maybe all the good players decided to take the year off. Nobody's good, but somebody still has to win, right? So winning a championship is one thing, but one thing that I think players and coaches that have won a championship really value is defending that title. You win the title, but then you go, we got to come back next year and show this was no mistake. This was no fluke. We have to defend that title. Sometimes you don't win it. Sometimes you don't repeat. But if you have another great season, if you make another deep run, if you beat a lot of other teams, then you prove that you didn't get that ring by a mistake. So the Rams' job is not done yet. Winning a title is one thing. That's certainly one step. But you learn a lot when you see how a team defends their title. Like the Miami Heat team that won with Dwayne Wade and Shaq and Antoine Walker and Alonzo Mourning. The next year they came back, barely made the playoffs, and got destroyed in the first round by a not that good Chicago Bulls team. That was a team that did not defend their title with honor. Then you have a team like the Seahawks team that won a Super Bowl. They didn't repeat, but they made it back to the dance, and they went toe-to-toe with a really good team and came within a yard of repeating. So even though they didn't repeat, they defended their title with honor and showed that they belonged, and it was no fluke. It was no mistake. So the Rams, I'm looking at Aaron Donald and I'm looking at Sean McVay, and I'm seeing them say all these things, but I'm just not really buying that they would leave before the title defense has had a chance. So that's my feeling on it overall. You're not going to walk away when you still have to defend that title. So I expect both these guys back in 2022, and the Rams are going to continue to be a problem. All right, see you guys later. Go Hawks. Let me know what you think down below.